everybody, hope we're all well. Welcome back to another Sunday Sessions video. If you're new to the channel, if you've never watched one of these videos, it's pretty much just where me and Luke go through the market, show you our outlooks for the coming trading week. So we usually pick a couple of pairs each, do a bit of analysis on that, whether that be a top down or just a shorter term outlook. That varies, however, we'll still provide you with our analysis and pretty much give you our bias on how we're looking to tackle these markets in the coming week. So sit back, relax, and try to take away as much information and as much knowledge from this as possible. So let's just follow on this market, so the euro to the US dollar, what I have been seeing recently. So all of this is actually outdated. We don't need to worry ourselves about this now. What we can worry ourselves about is this last buy to sell, which we can see price tap into, which provided us with some trading opportunities, because inside of this we also had distribution. Obviously that's already played out, that's why I didn't have it marked up, but I'll show you how we could have looked to tackle that. So we would have pretty much just taken this as an impulsive wave lower. Inside of that impulsive wave, you'll see that we've identified that last buy to sell, which has acted as our supply zone. We've allowed price to build up all of this liquidity within this region, which is good, because when we finally made that higher volume push through, we also had the purpose of clearing all of the liquidity in this region. Now, inside of this, we had plenty of intermediary positions that we could have got involved with, but obviously we've come out of this range now, moved higher, tapped into that position, reversed, made a move lower, and within that move lower, we're showing price's willingness, shall we say, to actually start running the lows. We ran the previous low in the market, and it seems like we may want to trade bearish from here. So we had this region highlighted. This is a refined zone. It was refined on a lower time frame, but just imagining we had a last buy to sell here with some heavy market inefficiency below. We were looking to take some intermediary sells with this region. However, once we had the displacement in here, we knew that we should probably either look to go long or just wait until price retraces and finishes the retracement. So the next thing we could have done, again, like we did last time, impulsive wave, point of interest, price comes to tap that point of interest. Now we'll go down to a 1 minute time frame just to show you how we tackled this. Tapped in, distribution, displacement. We then tap into a point of interest where we can get involved. We took one partial where we then unfortunately blown out with the stop loss, which was the NFP, which came out on Friday, but the NFP itself provided another trading opportunity in a higher supply zone. Anyways, regardless, enough talking about what price has done and more about what price is going to do. So our final target is all the way down here, evident by the fact that my take profit on that original position is all the way down at this region. I'm expecting price to now continue trading bearish down to this final target. So I'd imagine on maybe Monday, possibly even Tuesday, we can look inside of this region for potential sells down into that point. So we just go to a 5 minute and we look at anywhere that price may want to come and mitigate. It appears that we have displaced what should have been a protected high, and since doing so, let me actually drop down the time frames again, seeing this last sell to buy. So we could potentially see price mitigating a demand zone in here, so point of interest demand, where it will then take a move to surpass this level, and looking inside of this, ideally one region I'm looking at, which is sort of like the highest unmitigated position. We sort of have two regions. The first one that I'm liking is this candle inside of here that acts as a supply zone, POI, and then another one I'm liking is all the way at the top here, where it seems as if we don't have any sort of price action, traders back into this region. So that acts to me as an order block, as an unmitigated position, an unmitigated footprint in the market. So pretty much we have two positions here that I'm looking for price to potentially trade up to, where we'll then look to take short positions from. So we've moved that alert to the lower one. Also set an alert at this one at 1.05861. And then that is pretty much my outlook for Euro USD. Pretty much price is going to trade bullish into one of these zones where we'll look for a distribution and confirmation for us to go short. Okay, so now moving over to the dollar again. Ignore the fact that this is very messy at the moment. We will zoom into what we're currently looking at. I just wanted to show you that the overall outlook for me is bullishness. So impulse, retrace, where we've retraced down to mitigate a demand zone. So from here, we're expecting price to exceed the final target. We were following price up after the mitigation, finding different buy positions within this region. We've recently taken the most recent impulsive wave inside of the more fractal structure, identified a demand zone once again, which we've tapped into, reversed from. Now, what is bothering me is the fact that we have seen a bit of rejection to the upside. Supply is evidently entered the market. So what we're either going to see is that price is going to continue trading higher from the tap of this demand zone to exceed the final target, or we may be in for a wider scheme retracement, in which case I'd be looking inside of this. And to be honest, this definitely looks like a nice zone to me, this entire region where we have sells before buys. So I take this as an actual demand zone. So if we change that to point of interest demand, that is one region that I'll be looking out for. So we'll move this alert just to above this level, if it lets me do so. The reason I like this is because there's nothing that comes back down to mitigate this position. Everywhere else we see within this wave appears to have already been mitigated. So it doesn't look as nice to me anywhere else as a demand zone, unlike this one. And then on top of that, obviously if we were to take the last sell to buy on the higher time frames, that would be this entire region. So we are still lying within that. So I'm just going to be watching to potentially buy from this region, or if price decides to exceed the final target after the tap in this zone, we'd then look to reanalyze the market and find other opportunities to go long. Okay, so another market I want to include is the Bitcoin market. The reason because is that we have been trading bullish. We'll see impulse up, retracement, impulse up. We've now retraced into this region, which to me acts as a demand zone. We were looking for sell positions from this region quite a while back, where we had a clear reversal distribution in the market, a displacement, and then some mitigations where we were able to get involved. I also sent through into the VIP chat a potential entry we could have found in this region. Unfortunately, we didn't have the full tap of this supply zone, but if anyone decided to place after the analysis was sent out, we still could have profited from this move. You'll see that we've come to enter this demand zone where we've had a lot of rejection. The supply and demand balance is clearly being manipulated. The smart money operators or the institutions are trying to decide where to take price next. But following my strategy, following structural laws, I believe that this should be a protected low. So let's update the analysis and say that yes, because we've broken a high, this now becomes a protected low. In order for us to continue trading bullish, which I think we will be doing, we need to see price reverse here, start running all of these liquidity highs, so we can find some displacements or some confirmation that we are reversing in this zone. We'll then look for some entry confirmation or some ways that we can refine a nice entry in the market and look to ride that up all the way up to this high. Obviously we would partial along the way, but we would look to keep maybe 50 or 20% of the position running to try and take this high as well. If we zoom out, my analysis longer term is actually for price to come all the way back up into this region, so back to some new highs, as overall the market is still bullish, even though we've been bearish for some time now. You'll see that we've had different cycles of this, so I'm expecting that this region is sort of an accumulation. After the markdown, once we are in an oversold point of the market, we're just absorbing the rest of the supply and looking for ways to introduce demand. Now, I wanted to also include the euro to the Australian dollar, as this is the market we were watching for the majority of the last live trading session I did on Friday. We managed to catch an amazing buy position on this, which I believe a few people managed to profit from. Regardless, just to actually walk through what my bias is, we have this zone in the market, if not one higher, all the way up here, which we ended up refining to that, but just understanding that this is the last buy to sell. So my expectation after we've had this displacement is that price is going to continue trading bullish into one of these zones. So we're going to start looking for buy positions. You'll see that price came down perfectly to mitigate this demand zone. And after doing so, we see that prices started running higher, displacing some of what should have been the protected highs inside of this bearishness. So we have confirmation that price is now trading bullish. Evidently here you can see that position that we're talking about, where we're just trying to find some intraday trades. Price didn't quite tap into this and instead took off. I noticed we left a nice last buy to sell with some inefficiency below. That price came to mitigate perfectly. We found entry confirmation in that region and we looked to ride that up to the previous high. And then from there, we've just been looking for other opportunities we could get involved with. So in my eyes, we had this zone or this zone. Price has blown through this zone, slowly trading down to this demand zone. However, it seems that what we've done is we've had an impulse, correction, another impulse where we've broken the low. So this should have been a protected high. Price has traded up, displaced that high, and then just tapped back into this demand zone. So we're either going to see price now take off higher and slowly start to trade up into that supply zone, or this could just be part of a wider scheme retracement before we then make the move into this zone. So pretty much just looking to be a buyer from either one of these zones. So overall, my outlook on this market is to be a buyer. Now that is going to conclude all of the analysis from me. If you want to see updates on this, make sure to get into the live training sessions. We'll be doing multiple amounts of these every single week. It's usually going to be around midday, so during the New York and the London overlap, as that is the best time in my eyes for me to be trading and the best time for me to do a live stream to show you all how I'm tackling and analysing the markets. But regardless, I'm going to pass you over to Luke, who's going to go through some of his own markets and provide you with some of his own analysis.
How are we getting on, people? I hope you've enjoyed the analysis that James has provided for you guys today. Now we are going to move over to my analysis. I'm going to show you the three pairs that I'm looking to capitalize on this coming week, and give you a brief breakdown on how I'm going to do that. So we have the USD CAD, the Euro AUD, and the XAU USD. Now I've not traded gold in a while. This was one of my favorite pairs to trade, but it's been a bit unpredictable as of recent. But I feel like I've kind of, I've got some good analysis for this pair this week, so I'd like to share that with you guys. So on screen at the moment we have the USD CAD. Now both the USD CAD and the Euro AUD, they have very similar layouts, and I'm basically wanting the exact same thing to happen with both. So after doing a top-down analysis, I'm not going to go over it again, but after doing a full top-down analysis, I've come to the conclusion, and I have the bias to actually sell into both markets. Well, all three markets, in fact, but these forex pairs are very similar in the data that's being produced. So we've had the lower high that's been created here. That's great. We've then had a lower low that's been created. This has just come lower than the previous low. As you can see here, it's just come lower than the previous low. So this obviously confirms bearishness, which is great. Now, as the low has been created, we obviously need to see some kind of retracement, some kind of pullback in order to bring more supply into the market and basically drive the market back down, creating another lower low, another leg down. So I have come to the conclusion that this would be a good area to look for some kind of signs of reversals, a break of structure to the downside. So we've had our impulse here. So the start of the impulse, the end of the impulse. So we have used this and marked each point with the Fibonacci. So the start to the end, which has given us our golden ratio. That's great. So we have the 38.2, the 50, and the 61.8. This has given us our box, so we know that price during its retracement should come within this box. Again, show signs of a reversal, breaks of structure, and that is when we will look to capitalize in the market. At the moment, during this retest, it is evidently bullish. We are seeing higher highs and higher lows being put in. This is predicted. This is what we want to see happen, and we should see this continue until this point. Now, if I just get my pen tool out, I'll show you what I believe will happen. So we'll see continued bullishness. It will approach the 50, the 61.8, whatever it needs to react to. Then we will see maybe a double top, and then we'll start to see some bearishness being put in. Now, by bearishness, I basically mean lower lows and lower highs being created. We'll see a break of structure. So this should be a protected low if we are looking at bullish structure. The lows don't get broken, the highs do. So with this breaking, this is our first piece of confluence. Our second piece of confluence comes with the lower low that's been created, and then our third piece comes with the lower high. Now we could look to get in once the lower high has been generated and we have signs of a reversal, you know, a new impulse coming down, a new fractal impulse coming down, and we could look to ride this on and continue riding it until we have a take profit hit or until we sees fit. So if we were looking to get in on the start of the next impulse after we see in that BOS, what we would do is just go down to lower time frames. We would look for a specific entry. So we basically want to see some kind of fractal break of structure at the end of the retest, and then look to ride that next impulse down, and then we could just leave our trade to run. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth, but that is basically what I'm wanting to see. So obviously within this structure, within this move here, we can see how there are so many impulses and retracements. So this is an impulse, retracement, impulse, retracement, impulse, retracement. We can see how there is a lot of that. We will see this fractally as price comes into this area, and that is exactly where we will look to enter in on the market when we have that confirmation that we need. Now, moving over to Euro AUD, I have the exact same layout as the USD CAD. It looks exactly the same, and my bias is the same as well. So we have seen clear bearish structure. We have lower lows and lower highs being created, and then we have a break in that. We have quite clearly some bullish structure being produced. This is through the bullish retracement. Now, I feel like this will come to an end somewhere within this region again. What we would look for, like with the USD CAD, is signs of a reversal, signs of new bearish structure being implemented into the market, and that's when we will look to enter. So yes, with both the USD CAD and the Euro AUD, we could look to buy into the market, you know, coming up to this point. As if we look here, we are looking at the 4 hour and day time frame. So this is a lot of pips away. You know, if it was to hit the 50, for example, we're looking at a 400 pip swing. So we could actually look for those buy positions. Now, how would we do that? Well, we would just zoom in. So we've had the start of the impulse here, the end of the impulse, and the start of the retracement. This is the end of the retracement and what looks to be the start of its next impulse. Now, what we would do realistically is probably wait for this high to be broken, as this would confirm continuation in this bullish retracement on higher time frames. Then we would wait for price. So if I just get the brush again, we basically want a break from this high here, confirms bullishness. That's great. Then we'd wait for a retest. The retest will come higher than this low here, as the lows are protected during bullish structure. As soon as we have confirmation that the next impulse is starting, that is when we will look to enter. So we could look for areas that have been unmitigated within this impulse for where price could come back down to. Alternatively, we could use the Fibonacci retracement tool and find an area, you know, get a fib box created here, and then look to enter as soon as price taps into that and we have confirmation of its next impulse. And that's basically it. We could do the same with the USD CAD. We could look to get in on this bullish, you know, the continuation of this bullish retracement on higher time frames before we look to sell longer term. So yeah, that's my bias for both pairs. That's the USD CAD and the Euro AUD. Very brief, very quick. But there's not much more that needs to be said. That's what I'm seeing in the markets. The markets have been a bit crazy this last week. On Monday, it was obviously a bank holiday for everyone in the UK. And then we've had the NFP on Friday. So it's just been, the markets have been a bit haywire. They've not really shown any clear signs of direction. This is what I've come up with these two pairs. And now we're going to move over to XAU USD. So moving over to XAU USD, we can see how this was the previous swing high from the impulse. We've then had the retracement. This was the swing low. We've then had a new impulse that's been taken, which took us higher. So this was confirming bullishness. That's great. But now we have recently seen another high get created that has actually come lower than the last one. But this to me looks like a double top. And if we have a look here, If I just come down time frame, so maybe looking at the day time frame, we can see a little bit more clearly. We've actually had a break of structure. So price has obviously come up, creating this lower high. It's then come lower, setting a low. It's then come up to set a lower high. It's then broken structure. So it's broken the previous higher lows that were being set into the market. So this is our first sign of a reversal. And we are currently seeing what I believe is a retracement. So this is my thoughts: a lower high, a lower low, a break of structure. I think the price is looking to reverse and probably go lower. So we could see a continuation in bullishness for the time being, probably come up to mitigate around this area because we have a last buy to sell candle here that doesn't look like it's been mitigated. So we could expect price to come up to this region. Then as soon as we have signs of a reversal and price moving lower, that is when I'll be looking to jump in on the market on those sell positions and hopefully ride price down. Now, in terms of a take profit target, we could actually have this as our take profit. This is a long way away. You know, we're looking at hundreds and hundreds of pips here, but there's no reason as to why it couldn't come as low as this point. You know, this is the swing low. Now, if it was to continue bullishness, which it might well do, all we would need to do is look for areas within this that have been unmitigated, or again, using the Fibonacci for some kind of suggestion as to where price could potentially look to come down to reverse. So if we just got the Fibonacci tool here, marked our start of impulse to the end of the impulse, we've got the 61.8. So price could come as low as this point. And if we're looking at where we want to see price to come up to before entering, we've got an entry there at 1951 and a potential take profit target of 18.29. You know, we're looking at over 1,000 pips there. Now, do I believe price could come lower? Absolutely. Is it a possibility that it won't? Absolutely. We would obviously just look to take partials and just see exactly how price is playing out. But again, this is my analysis. This is what I'm thinking. As I say, we've looked at the high time frame structure. We've seen what it's delivered us with. We've now seen a break of structure on the lower time frames. You know, i.e. looking at the 4 hour and the day time frame, we've seen this clear BOS. Price is broken below this neckline, creating us with a small retracement here. Price has come down, and I believe now we are going to take a larger retracement back up to this area, so we could actually highlight this. Once price trails back up, we have signs of some kind of distribution or a reversal. That is when we can look to take part in the market on those longer term sell positions. Now, I hope this analysis has been useful. If it has, please don't forget to leave it a like. All your support with these videos is very much appreciated. If you're not involved in the Learning Lounge group chat, get involved. Link is always in the description. And if you have any feedback or you have any questions, just put them in the comments below and me or James will respond to you as soon as possible. Now, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next Sunday Sessions video.